Welcome to Parade's Concierge Desk. Here at Parade, we specialise in delivering class-defining event concierge service, and our North Star as a business is to offer a frictionless experience for our clients and our guests. We're obsessed with guest experience, and we're fascinated by how other businesses and brands in other industries use experience to build connections with their clients and customers. This Concierge Desk series is our opportunity to speak to other people that feel about experience the same way we do, and to share some thoughts with our network and theirs. Throughout the series, we'll be having conversations with people who specialize in guest experience, visitor experience, customer experience, any type of experience. And we're asking them to give us insights about how and why they use it and why it's important to their business. So today I am delighted to be joined by Emily Lui, who I like to count as a friend, but she's also an amazing business person and a really inspiring person to have a chat with about most things, actually, but particularly, I hope, about guest experience. Emily is the co-founder and COO of Cutter and Squidge, which, as I'm sure most people will know, is a nationwide direct-to-consumer food gifting company with a beautiful store in London, in Soho. Emily has a 20-year background as a lawyer, so she brings a really different angle to consumer-based business and also to guest experience. So, Emily, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hello, and thank you for inviting me.
So my first question to you is I've given you a quick introduction there, but just give us a little bit of an introduction to yourself and to the business.
Yes, so as you said, 20-year career as a lawyer. So that's consumer, customer or client facing, dealing with all different types of people from all different walks of life and being their trusted advisor. So that was really, really good background to setting up a consumer business. It may seem completely different, but it isn't, because as a consumer business or any kind of business where you're selling something to a customer, you want them to trust you, and that is the foundation of building a customer base and building your customer or guest experience and then loyalty. When we started Cutter and Squidge, we did it in the most natural way, which was to do market stalls. So we were at Partridge's Market in Chelsea. Then we moved to supplying department stores for a little while, and then we set up our own store in Soho. So we were really bricks and mortar, so what you would call a traditional kind of guest customer business. From our stores, we built our name on guest experiences, namely afternoon tea. We became quite the leader in themed or immersive afternoon teas, and we're talking pre-COVID, so long before everybody was doing kind of different themed dress-up afternoon teas. And doing that enabled us to kind of give ourselves a foundation in understanding our customers and what their expectations are. And then we went from there. So during COVID, we obviously had to close all stores and we had to pivot to online. And I'm sure we'll come to this again later, but we then had to transfer a guest or customer experience from a physical experience to an online remote experience, which is completely different.
So that's a really interesting point, actually, and one that, yes, I think we will get to in the future. But I think what you're saying is you split the guest experience into kind of two distinct categories for the business, the online and the in-store. Is that right?
Correct. So we have customers who are 100% online. They have never physically touched our brand or our experience. It's all been done via the internet, via emails, maybe a phone call to customer services, but generally it's email and online. And then we have customers who only go to store, so they only know our experience from being in store. And then we have the hybrid customer who does a bit of both. And there we have to make sure that the experience is seamless. So what somebody has experienced online is then transferred into the physical experience in store.
And vice versa, I presume.
And vice versa, exactly.
And where do you, so first of all, what's the kind of definition of experience? Do you use the term guest experience or customer experience, or?
So we call ourselves customer first. And that goes from, and you could say customer experience, that goes from the very, very first interaction all the way through to the very last. This is the customer experience before they've even decided to spend any money with you. This is a contemplation, or not even a contemplation. It's even before that, when we're trying to say to a customer, hey, we're great, please come and buy something from us, come and experience what we can give you.
And do you lead with the in-store experience and that informs what the online experience will be, or do you see them as two separate journeys?
They are separate in a way, because what somebody expects online is different from the physical, but what we do try and do is mirror them. So what you will see in the store, so we're very design led. So we have lovely photography. We have an amazing in-house designer. We bring in guest designers for campaigns. We have beautiful artwork for our packaging and for our campaigns, or for our just general day-to-day. And what we do is we change our artwork in our store and the walls and the decorations to match what's happening online and what the customer, if they've signed up to the email, what they're receiving in their inbox. So it's very seamless. It's just done in a different way.
Right. And what's the importance of that experience in your business? And I'm going to ask that first of all for the shop in Soho. What you've obviously got a lot of people coming past the shop. Passing trade is not an issue. Getting people through the door, I imagine, is less challenging in the heart of Soho than it would be in other places. Why do you focus on that customer experience in store? What are the benefits to the business?
I think it's imperative. You have to differentiate yourself. That's good. You have to differentiate. You have to make yourself a point of difference.
Let me ask that question again. What was the question? Oh yeah. So what was the question? It was something about why is customer experience so important to you in the store, right? So clearly customer service is really important to you as a business, and that comes through those two separate channels. So I'm going to ask, first of all, why is guest experience, customer experience, so important for you at the shop in Soho, when opening the door means that you'll have lots of people coming by? Getting customers into the shop in Soho probably isn't as much of a challenge as it would be in other places. So what's the importance to your business about customer experience in the shop?
Actually, I might disagree with you there. Soho is a really crowded area, as is the kind of bakery industry as a whole. There are lots of coffee shops, there are lots of cake shops. And actually, it's quite hard to get a customer to choose between us and maybe 5 other places that they could visit in the local area. So it's really important for us to bring the customer in with something that seems familiar to them. So they may have seen postings on Instagram or TikTok, they may have inbox mail, and they may see that and then go, oh, I recognize this. Oh, this is Cutter and Squidge. And that's the first bit, getting someone through the door. And the second part is that the customer needs to feel welcome. And I think you agree, there is nothing worse than walking in somewhere and being ignored. I personally will walk out the door.
Yeah.
So we actually have a 5-second rule in our store. You know, even if you're rushed off your feet and there's a queue out the door, if somebody walks in, an acknowledgement within 5 seconds is key.
Yeah.
And that really brings that kind of welcome to the customer, makes them feel comfortable, And anybody who might be anxious or nervous, because not everyone is super confident, will feel that they want to stay.
Just out of interest, and going off on the first tangent, how do you measure that? How do you measure that the 5 second rule is being adhered to?
Spot checks really is the only way to do it. You know,
Yeah.
it's day one training for the team, and if you have a strong team, especially a strong management team, they will continue to enforce that, not just by telling the team they have to do it, but by showing the team that that's what you do. And then it becomes second nature.
Yeah. Agreed. I and again, another tangent. One of my first jobs in hospitality was for Hilton as a casual barman when I was a student. And part of the training there was a non-verbal acknowledgement within 20 seconds of someone arriving at the bar. And it's so important, and it's something that gets lost so often. And it doesn't matter if you're in a cake shop or in a 5-star hotel. It's extraordinary how often that doesn't happen, and how often the team are kind of distracted or don't really care. And I've been into your store, and I know that the welcome is very, very warm. And that's an amazing point of differentiation. And it's interesting what you say is that it's not necessarily, you disagreed rightly about it being easy to get people through the door. I guess my point was that there are lots of people who could come through the door, and you've identified that actually that first touch point is when they enter, and keeping them in there, because if they don't feel welcome, or they think, oh, this isn't for me, or I'm a bit nervous, I don't know what's going on, then they'll leave, they'll go to the next place. So interesting then to find out for the other channel, so for your online channel, how do you use kind of customer experience through online?
So customer experience for online is really is to do with the website and the ease of use of the website. The easier and more friendly the website is, the easier it is for the customer then to engage and then move through their customer journey. But before that, you know, we have newsletters, which are not always just sell. There's information, there's stories, we have blogs, there's a bit of entertainment. So if you're looking at sort of the social media side, there are fun videos. So it's more than just selling to a customer, because actually that's easy, but also a bit boring. And as a customer, customers, our guests are more sophisticated now. They know that they're being sold to, and that doesn't feel very genuine.
Yeah.
The other thing we do, and it plays on the being genuine, like genuinely interested in your customers or your guests. Like, how do you do that without them just feeling like you just want to take a pound of flesh? And one of the things we do, particularly around campaigns, is we actually really think about the occasion. So for example, it's very topical at the moment. We've just started Ramadan, which then will lead into Eid. It is the biggest occasion for the Muslim faith community. It is really easy to take an existing product, slap a bit of packaging on it and say, this is your Eid Ramadan collection. Super easy to do that. We actually go a bit further. We commission designs from a designer of the faith. So this one would be a Muslim faith designer. We give them a brief and ask them to create something that is evocative of the occasion. So instead of just putting Eid or Ramadan on it, the depictions are more about what that occasion means to the faith at that time. So that's how we build that authenticity and genuine sort of.
So that kind of coming through the door moment, that being welcomed moment, is by giving customers something that feels authentic when they're online, and something that they can immediately kind of pick up on. That online experience, how do you extend that? What I guess what's important? So in the real life situation in the shop, being welcomed, feeling the the shop assistant is going to be taking care of you, having eye contact, being engaged. How can you translate that into the online experience after that kind of welcome?
It's hard because you're only communicating with a customer in the digital world. And you can't just do that through a website, because a website is a sales channel. And so the way we do that is with the supporting content that we have on social media, because invariably most people who are buying online are also on social media, whatever platform that is. So the way to bring that real life feeling is to use the other mediums, the other channels, to build that around the sort of digital presence of your website.
So your kind of origin story is bricks and mortar customer service. You've interpreted that into the digital world, the whole kind of digital ecosystem through the e-commerce, but also everything that kind of backs that up to deliver that guest experience. For the future, what do you see as being the development of the Cutter and Squidge customer experience over the next few years, whether that's through bricks and mortar, whether that's through digital, or a combination of both? What do you think the developments are going to be for the customer experience for the brand?
So we know that our customers love buying online from us. Some of them love the in-store experience, and really it's making sure that those two channels come together. We would love, although it's not possible for all of our customers to come to our London store, but we would love eventually for all of our customers to be able to have a physical touch point with the brand somehow. So a in real life experience, maybe that could be more stores, but just a way for them to be able to connect with the brand in more than just the digital world.
And do you see that as being through a transactional experience, or do you see that being a non-transactional experience? So my question is, sorry, that was a very odd way of posing it, but my question is, do you see that you want to then bring all of your online customers into a shop so they can buy Cutter and Squidge, or do you see that you want to touch as many of them as you can with a Cutter and Squidge experience that isn't necessarily about kind of in-store transaction?
So what we're doing more is in-store experiences. So we're not talking themed afternoon teas where we do those, but we're talking about events to celebrate particular moments. So one very dear to us is the Lunar New Year, so the Chinese New Year. We did a collaboration with two other Chinese female-owned brands, and we came together to have this crazy pop-up restaurant experience. And we don't serve restaurant food, and we certainly don't serve Hong Kong Chinese cafe food. And we brought everyone together, and we sort of molded that all together in one night. And just being able to offer our customers something that isn't just what we normally provide is the way that we would like to expand our customer experience, our general online buy your brownies, hampers, etc. from us, actually come and have a different experience, a totally different experience with us.
And do you see that there's also a way, is there anything in the pipeline, or anything in your future that you see as a kind of virtual reality sort of Cutter and Squidge experience? Is that something that you've looked at? Is that something that you're interested in exploring?
That's quite funny. A few years ago, someone said to us, you could do like those virtual headsets and have someone sitting there with that, and then the food be by them, and they're immersed but via virtual reality eating. I don't think we'll actually go into that. Yeah, I haven't actually even thought about that. It's quite interesting, but yeah, not something that I had
I,
considered.
I was talking to someone the other day about immersive marketing, which was basically how to showcase a product through virtual reality, um, through kind of avatars and things. And this was with a focus on fashion. And the conversation was, well, at the moment, the tech isn't really there because the garments don't look as amazing as they need to. But I do wonder if there is a future of food marketing that might include some sort of virtual reality. It would be difficult.
It
Smell
would
of
be,
vision.
it would smell of it, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing, because when you're dealing with food or gifts, it's very kind of feel, see, smell, taste. So it would be, so I think you could set up a virtual store and someone could journey through the store and see the products again. As you know, they said it probably won't look as great as it would do in real life, but how would we then add in those smells and tastes?
Sure.
That would be the tricky bit.
So for the Cutter and Squidge experience, and I'm sorry I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. What what three words would you use to describe the Cutter and Squidge experience across in-store transaction, online transaction, and then that kind of overall experience piece? What do you want that Cutter and Squidge experience to be?
We would like our customer to feel comfortable, so not intimidated, because we're fun, we're a food business. So we want them to feel comfortable. We want them to feel customized too, so personalized. So when we're doing an occasion, it's customized to that occasion. So they really feel like they're being thought of. You know, there's a real kind of, okay, this is catered to me, and I feel heard, I feel thought of. And the final thing is valued. We want our customers to feel valued, because they are really valuable to us. Our guests, our customers are valued. And we want them to feel that, and not for them to feel as though we're just selling them to all the time. So we want them to feel like we're giving them something back. And invariably that's moments of joy, that's happiness. You know, we sell food gifts and we sell deliciousness, and that, you know, should just be joy.
Amazing. What a lovely world to live in. And my final question, Emily, is can you tell us about a really great or a terrible customer experience or guest experience that you've had recently, and tell us how it made you feel?
Unfortunately, as the way life goes, you always remember the ones that made you feel upset compared with the ones that you've made you feel amazing. And I think that's just because negative feelings always remain, whereas joyful moments tend to pass a bit quicker. And that's the whole thing with customer experience. Sorry, just to digress slightly, and customer guest experience is that, you know, you could have 10 joyful times, moments with somebody, and they could be a long-term guest or customer of yours, and you give them one bad experience, and that's the one that really upsets them, and your, you know, 10 previous have been wiped out. And that's why consistency is so important in customer or guest experience. And that's why personnel is also so important, because if you don't have consistent personnel with the right attitudes, dealing with the customers, or, you know, even in the online world, if our website breaks, or it doesn't work properly, or it's difficult to use, that's a bad customer experience. It's just not a physical one.
Yeah.
For us, it's a physical experience for them. And that's when you kind of tend to ruin it. So I guess for me, I would unfortunately have to do a bad experience. I'll try and think of a good one whilst I'm talking about bad one. Actually, I will. I'll do two. I've got two. And one was I was invited to an event, and it was a private event, and I was completely ignored. And anybody who takes their personal time and effort to go to something to then not be recognized. And I'm not talking about in a big head, like, oh my God, no one knew who I was, but just in a common courtesy manner, that made me feel really sad.
Yeah.
It made me feel really lonely, which is ridiculous, sad and lonely, and about 11 years old. And I was like, that's not a good moment to have. And then the following week, I went into another similar environment, greeted immediately, acknowledged, introduced to people so that conversations could be had, and a totally 360 experience. It was amazing.
Yeah. We always focus on ensuring that our clients, the people that we directly work for, and their guests feel seen, heard, and understood. And we find that those three words can be translated to any interaction. And that's exactly what you've just described, right? First, you want to feel seen.
Yeah.
Then when you're having a conversation, you want to feel like someone's heard you, they're actually listening. And then you want to feel like they've got some sort of empathy with you and there's some sort of understanding. And I think that's really important. So you said that it was a private event. So was that just down to kind of bad hosting skills?
Yeah.
And was there anything that the kind of the hospitality team could have done, or that was that was kind of on the host?
I think the hospitality team in that environment were very much left to sort of serve drinks, etc.
Right. Yeah.
So their remit wasn't to look after the guests that had been invited, because it was a very select number of people. So that really was on the host and the host party.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that ingrained hospitality, which clearly you have because of the brand that you've built, and hopefully we have because we love doing what we do, means that that's kind of why we're passionate about what we do, right? And also why we're probably quite difficult to please at times. High standards. Emily, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It's been fascinating to hear your use of experience in the business, and also really interesting to see that kind of definition between bricks and mortar and the online, but also where they meet. So thanks very much. Hopefully we will be meeting soon for a slice of cake and a cup of tea. But in the meantime, thanks very much, and we'll speak soon.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.